Hello, everybody. Welcome to the BoldTrail session. I am Natalie Urianza. I'm going to be your guide today. I have a lot of fun content we're going to go through, and I'm excited to be here. Glad you could join. Let's just dive in. We've had a few of these sessions, and every time I get a little bit more questions from agents, and so I might change the way I talk through our platform based on questions that you all have each time you listen. So I want to start off, we're going to talk about a little bit about who is BoldTrail, who is Inside Real Estate, all of these different logos you're seeing on the screen. And then I want to talk through some of the new things that you'll see with BoldTrail if you're switching from KV Core to BoldTrail. I guess everybody's switched over if you've had it. If not, these will be some key components you'll want to pay attention to as you log in for the first time. And then we'll also talk about some kind of thought leadership concepts. These are things that we believe based on data that are at the core of who we are, why we created the platform, and why we innovate and create the tech the way that we do today for you, based on the problems we know that you're running into and the challenges you face on a daily basis and the way you want to run your business. So we'll start off here. I wanted to just kind of give you a history of BoldTrail. So over on the left side, you can see we've got this line inside real estate all the way through. And then we've got some of these logos early on that end up getting tied into this mainstream. So Inside Real Estate is the parent company, and all of these, solutions are things that we have built and developed or acquired and brought in to the family so that we can give you a full end-to-end experience. We want you to be able to access all of the tech you need in one login. We know agents use a lot of different pieces of technology. You have to wear a lot of hats. There are, you have to do lead generation. You have to be a salesperson. You have to do marketing. You have to manage your transactions and nurture your clients. And so there are a lot of skills that you need, and there are a lot of tech solutions out there that can help support you in those efforts. And we have compiled what we believe are the best of the best, the things that make sense and they're practical and easy to use. And we've integrated them all into one platform for you. So that's a little bit about who we are. Whenever I do a session like this, I always get questions about kind of feature comparison. And I don't want to get too hung up on feature comparison because, like I said, we've really compiled a list of all the features that we believe are the most important and are going to have the highest impact on your business. You can see a little list here. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are the main questions I get. Do we have websites? Yes, we do. And there's an IDX connection. So that means that your MLS information feeds over to your website and you get listing data in real time. You can set up search alerts. There's a lot of automation that's tied to the website, and also things that can be triggered in the CRM as you're managing clients. We've got AI, we've got listing management, we've got business analytics that I'm going to spend a little bit of time on a little bit later, but we've really adopted the idea that we want to give you as much data as possible about your performance and your lead engagement so you can make the smartest decisions possible as you are really managing your book of business and growing your business. And then we've also got transaction management, marketplace solutions, and integrations, which are, additional services that we've really fully vetted out and trialed and integrated as much as possible. And then there's a mobile app so that you can run your business on the go. We have the navigation. This is a new tool that we call the Omni Search. So we've really reimagined the way that you can go into your platform and locate leads, information, resources, and initiate actions. Historically, this search was essentially just a lead search, and you can still use it that way, but you can kind of see when you start to type something in, it starts to populate some of these suggestions here. Some of them are actions, some of them are resources. So it really just streamlines the way that you use your platform. It makes it easier for you as you're logging in, getting used to the new aesthetic, that you don't have to be super familiar with every menu and where things are, because you can locate them all here in the Omni search. We have enhanced our mobile app. This is, it looks a lot cleaner. The UI is easier to look at and use. We've made it clearer what tasks you have and how you can complete actions. We've streamlined the navigation, and overall, it's just a faster, smarter experience for you logging in. We also have the custom pages editor, which is one of my favorite tools. This is one of those tools that we actually had a lot of requests to build custom pages because everybody wants personalization, right? You want to be able to personalize your website and really convey your brand and provide the resources that you specialize in. And you want to tailor that to your consumer as well. And historically, you were really only able to do this by paying us to create a page or paying someone else to create a page, unless you're a coder. And I don't know about you, but I am not a coder. So what we did is we created this really easy inline editor that you can use to create your own custom pages. And we've got all these templates you can see. You can just choose any template. And then editing is really easy with the different components that you can add: videos, text boxes, pictures, buttons, things like that, that are just in a side menu that you can click and drag and drop onto the page where you want. Fully editable. You can edit the colors. You can really kind of do whatever you want, and it's all at your fingertips with just a few clicks of the button. So one of my favorite features, like I said, and the biggest reason really is because for your brand, and also it's just a lot more engaging for your user base as you're trying to drive traffic back to your website, so you can capture those behavioral insights of the people who are interacting with you and your website. And there's a lot more. We've modernized the interface and experience of the platform. I showed you a little bit of that Omni search and logging in. Hopefully you feel like things make a lot more sense and they're easier to use. We've unified the call and task management functionality, making that easier for you to see what's going on and manage those tasks. And then the MLS listing deduplication, this is one that also was called for a long time, and we've solved for this issue where you're getting duplicates, right? So now it automatically dedupes listings that you might have in multiple MLSs, and that creates a cleaner, better experience for your users on your website, visitors. So let's take a second and talk about automation. And AI. I should have thrown AI in here. I say this every time I look at this slide, but the quote is, you don't automate to get rid of the human, you automate to amplify the human. And it's so true. All of the technology we see coming out, especially in the last 5 years, we've made leaps and bounds in the way that we can automate certain functions, even, create your own content using an AI kind of source. And I know I've heard grumblings about there's this fear that automation and AI are going to replace humans. I don't think that's true. I think that it's really there to serve us and help amplify our efforts. You're not a marketing major. You're not probably a salesperson, or maybe you are. Maybe you've got a couple of skills that you're really great at. But the areas where you fall short, unless you have a team fully supporting you, and creating email copy and smart campaign copy, and reaching out to people, if you've got a ISA, great, but use what you have available. You've got automation and AI that can help fill in some of those gaps. And that's a big reason why we do what we do here, to make sure that you're on a level playing field, essentially. So we know that in real estate, the biggest roadblocks for increasing GCI are these 4 buckets. We have a lot of data. We've been researching this for a long time. And ultimately, it always falls back to generating leads, lead follow-up, lead conversion, and client management. And, even if there are ways that you're doing this, our goal is to create the most cohesive way for you to do this and sort of make it an easy button, if you will. So a lot of the things that we have set up help you do these things and overcome these challenges in a way that's not going to require you to live in the platform full time. So we're going to talk about how we solve for those problems, but also I always want to cover this slide because there's a couple of things that have really changed the landscape of the real estate industry and how we work with our customers. Number one is consumer demand. This is switching from the delayed gratification to instant gratification, right? So if you think about companies like Amazon and Google and how connected consumers feel to their products and services, these companies have really changed the way consumers, the way they work with companies and the way they expect service to be delivered. You can go on Amazon and, Prime, rent a video or buy a video right then. You can watch on-demand shows. You can order any product and get it overnight in most cases. You can, look on Google, really any search engine, any social media platform, and get a really tailored experience. Most of these places have algorithms that track your behavior, and so they are giving you what you want, essentially, without you having to do much but your own behaviors. And then we also have this big dog competition kind of aspect where this has been more apparent over the last few years, but there are these big portals. I know you know who I'm talking about. And the problem that creates is they're really competitive and they're pretty aggressively pursuing the customers that you're pursuing. They're using your listings to generate leads, and then those are getting divvied out to other places. So how can you really battle those kind of companies for the consumer? This is one slide too where I always say the gloves are off, right? So what are we going to do to really make sure that we capture every opportunity possible? The good news is right here, the consumer journey with the agent. So this is data that we've actually gotten from NAR. And what this tells us is that consumers are interacting with agent websites. So 90% of consumers started their search online, and 85% of those consumers visited an agent website during their journey. So not a portal website, but an agent website. And then out of those consumers, 75% registered for listing alerts on agent websites. So, you hear a lot, how do I compete with Zillow? How do I show up first on Google? And I'll tell you, it's really not all about that. It's really about consistency and using the tools that you have to drive traffic back to your website and make sure that you are staying connected with the leads who are actually interested and ready to start transacting. I know I touched on this a little bit. Today's consumer really wants a personalized experience, and this is what they're getting with any app. And you've probably got a few of these apps on your phone or tablet right now. And if you think about the experience you get when you're using these apps, this is what your consumers are experiencing too. One thing I want to point out is that your website can serve up a personalized experience for your consumers. When they visit your website and they register as a lead, they get this consumer portal login, right? So every time they come back to your website, they're logged in and they can see the list of properties that they've saved, or If they're getting a search alert, that criteria is kind of dialed in for them, and it starts to really tailor the experience to the person who's logged in using your website. So the more you can get them coming back, the better. And then this really is our thought process around winning. This is, these are the strategies, and you need tools that support these strategies in order to really have a healthy book of business that's giving you consistent transactions throughout the year. And we're going to dive into each one of these, but I wanted to spend a minute here because this is a question I get a lot, especially when we start talking about feature comparison and, what other companies do. And I can't really speak to that, but what I can speak to is that being found is the way you go out and you're getting found by a new audience and you start building your pipeline. Because you can't just get leads today and expect them to transact today, right? And the people you've worked with previously or your sphere, those are people that you need to really be able to remain connected with and stay involved with through their journey so that you can maximize opportunities for referrals and repeat business. So you have to really kind of cut it down into sections where be found, you've got to figure out how you're going to get in front of new people and grow your pipeline, grow your database. Be connected. This is about how you get more conversations, essentially. So whether it's with new leads or people who already exist in your database, what strategies are you using? What tools are you using to remain connected and to be able to generate conversations when it's appropriate? And then being involved is about really working your sphere, getting referrals and repeat business, staying involved with people long-term throughout the entire client life cycle so that you can create clients for life. So these are your solution, essentially, and I'm going to show you how we help to support that strategy. So being found is primarily about your online store. You have an online store, it's your website, and your primary responsibility is to drive consumers to your website. You can do that so many different ways. There are print materials that you can use, text codes, QR codes, signs that are going to drive people to look at your website. There are social media posts. Social media is a huge player in this game. And some of that is getting in front of people who already know you by posting on your personal and professional page. And some of that is getting in front of new eyeballs by using ads or posting in community pages where there's a greater chance for people to stumble upon your information, and they're people who don't already follow you or know you. So, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. And we've got a lot of different tools that can help support your strategy. I think if you look at your overall lead generation strategy, this is where I start to think about the lead funnel, because you're typically going to have a lot of people who are in this lead or prospect phase. You'll get, if you're posting regularly or you've got ads out there, you'll get a lot of people visiting your website. You'll get a lot of impressions, clicks, views. But people who actually submit themselves, submit a lead form, or are willing to talk to you, they're in this sort of middle funnel space. And I kind of cut this in half. So you've got your top of funnel and then bottom funnel. And I know everybody here really wants these bottom funnel leads that are really motivated. They're probably going to transact in the next 3 to 6 months. But the reality is you have to be dumping leads into the funnel, and you have to have some of these top of funnel leads in order to really have consistency. Because if we look at this from a timing perspective, the leads that come in up here, they're probably going to transact in the next year. And then if you've got people down here in the next 3 to 6 months, and you continue to nurture the leads up here, then you've got more consistency, right? Where you're nurturing them until they're ready to start transacting. You should be focused on two different kinds of lead generation. There is the kind of lead gen where you are spending time prospecting and marketing and capturing leads that way. And then you should also have a mixture of lead generation where you're spending money. I can guarantee you're all doing a little bit of both today. And, whatever your business goals are going to determine what that mixture looks like. But you have to have both. Spending money is going to typically get you more volume, and it's going to typically get you leads that are a little bit further down in the timeline and ready to transact sooner. And time is going to get you volume. It's going to get you eyeballs and marketing exposure. And sometimes you might get some quick wins where people are ready to transact early on. But, a lot of that effort really is sending leads into your pipeline so that they can help fuel your transactions for later on down the road. One of the tools that we have in the platform that help you accomplish this is the playbook. And what I love about the playbook is it compiles all of the tools in the platform that you need to promote your listing, get in front of everybody that you know and also people that you don't know, broaden your reach as much as possible to get interest for the listing. And in doing that, it's generating a lot of leads. So if you're promoting your own listing and, trying to just get more eyeballs on it to sell it faster, it can accomplish that. But it also can accomplish lead generation. So it's multi-purpose. A lot of agents love this because it also gives you the ability to work with agents in your office and provide listing information to their database, which gets, you and them in front of their audience. Everybody kind of benefits from this. And so that's a tool that I'd really recommend you using. The other thing that's neat about this one is that I would say 90% of the tools in this playbook are actually free. There's one paid for component and it's less than $100. So definitely check that out if you're looking for lead gen. We also have a lot of these other tools in the lead engine. So some of these are free, some of them are paid for. The landing pages, squeeze pages, call and text capture, these are free ways to generate leads. This is where you're spending time, right? So this is where you have to kind of create your strategy, figure out who your audience is that you're targeting, what your message is, where you're going to post it. And this can be a really great tool if you do a little bit of time blocking and you say, okay, I'm going to create all of these things today. And then once a week, I'm going to go post it on my social media or whatever channel you're going to use. Or you could email them. You could put it in a campaign and email them out to your contacts. And then you've got things like Property Boost, which is a done for you kind of ad that runs on Meta. This one's really low cost, which I love. And you can boost sold listings for exposure. If you're trying to win more listings, you can boost just listed. You can boost price reduce. So there's a bunch of different use cases, open houses. And then if you're looking to spend a little bit more or, wondering if you can get really targeted with a certain strategy, if you click on that Get More Leads tab in the marketplace, or I'm sorry, in the lead engine, that will get you with a marketplace consultant and they can talk to you about what's your budget and what kind of leads are you needing and wanting, and they can point you in the right direction and give you some good ideas and recommendations. We also have the marketplace here. This is, like I said, it does have some lead generation. It also has a lot of integrations. It's got coaching and one-on-one help. It's got, premium website options that you can upgrade to. So there's a lot of different tools available and services available to you in the marketplace. And like I said earlier, what we love about this is that we know and trust all of these products. If they're not our own, we have fully vetted them out and integrated them as much as possible so that we know you're getting the service that we can put a stamp on and that it's going to be the best experience possible for you. And when I say integrated, I also mean, with nurture tools. And that's really important because once you get leads, then you have to stay connected to them. So this is getting into the be connected kind of phase. When you get leads in your platform, what do you do with them? There's this understanding today's consumer. There are a couple of things I just want to point out. And I know I've already mentioned a few of these, so I won't spend a ton of time here. But like I said earlier, we know that over 90% of transactions are originating online. We also know that pictures and details of homes are the #1 driver for leads to be searching for information online. They want access to pictures and details of homes. We know that leads, especially in the beginning of their search, they don't want to talk to anybody. They just want to do their own research. They want to hide behind the wall of the internet while they gather as much information as possible. Excuse me. I don't think I brought a water down today, so you might have to put up with my coughing a little bit. But okay. So, and then we've also got 4 primary demographics of consumers who are shopping for real estate today. Really interesting. I know we kind of had this flip flop for a little while, but it looks like the boomers are back on top, #1 demographic. And I believe I just saw a stat the other day that says millennials are taking the #1 spot for first-time home buyers. We have a lot more first-time home buyers entering the market with Gen Z, which is interesting. And, the thing that I think is important about this is demographics really play into a lot of different factors. So what types of homes you're marketing, if you have a niche, it might better serve a certain demographic over another. Or if you're planning on marketing on social media, your audience is going to be different. For example, I know that Facebook has the broadest demographic reach. So you see everybody from Gen Z all the way up to the boomer kind of generations who are using Facebook. And then the next most popular is LinkedIn. If you get into using something like Instagram or TikTok, those demographics are different. X, the demographics are different. So if you want to just start with one place, if you're wondering which social media account you should be setting up and marketing on, I would say Facebook every single time, because you're going to get in front of more eyes than anywhere else. It also might change the way you communicate with those demographics. Gen X and the boomer demographic, they're going to be more likely to want in-person conversations, phone calls, mailers. And millennials and down, you're probably going to have more like sending text messages or videos, right? So hopefully that helps you understand some of the different aspects you should be thinking about when you're communicating and marketing to these different demographics, what they like, how they like to communicate, and what's important to them. And that kind of plays into, what kind of information they're looking for. And that's important because that's the kind of content you should have on your website, so that you're providing super relevant content to the people you're trying to target and work with. This last one, 72% work with the first agent they talked to, which I thought was really interesting. And actually that kind of feeds me into this next slide here, and I'll explain why. Because if we look at these phases of the consumer timeline, you can see the average time to transact for buyers and sellers is 23 months. That's almost 2 years. And that's just the average. So that could be longer, could be shorter. But people in this phase 1, they're really pre-research. These are the people hiding behind the wall of the internet. These are the people who I've heard agents say they're just looky-loos, or they're just kicking tires. They're not really serious. They might be, but they're probably in phase 1. And what that means is they are just looking. It means that they're curious about real estate and they've just started thinking, I wonder what's out there. Or I wonder what my home is worth. But they haven't committed to buying or selling yet. They're still interested in the information on your website, though. And so you want to let them continue looking. Why? because 72% of consumers work with the first agent they talk to. We also know that I actually heard a story, an agent telling me that one of the leads they got from Zillow specifically, that was a really low pipeline lead that they paid a lot of money for, they found out that that lead had first become a lead 12 months before that and had been being nurtured for a year until it got to that point where it was low funnel. This is stuff you can do yourself if you're using the tools in your platform. So, you bring people in, you've got interesting content on your BoldTrail website, you capture them as a lead and they say, I don't know if I'm really serious, or I'm just looking. You go, okay, that's fine. Go ahead and look. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll stay connected with you. And if you nurture that person, when they are ready to move into phase 2 and they start having questions that they can't answer themselves, or they've started to form a real opinion about what they want or need, who is the person they're going to reach out to? You. That's right. So it's the long game. Anytime you're doing anything with lead generation, you have to be thinking in this type of mindset. And I just want to pose a question here. So if you knew that every single person in your database was going to transact in the next 2 years, how would that change the way you're nurturing them today? How would it change the way you talk to them when they say, I'm not really interested? Because we know for a fact that this happens. We know that people enter the timeline super early, and the best thing you can do is meet them where they're at. We always want to try to force people along the timeline, but really the best thing you can do is just see, hey, where are you at? What can I do to support you? And just stick with them as they progress. And then when they get into the timeline a little bit more and they're ready, you've built trust, you've built rapport, you've given them information they need. And then you can start to really enter your value proposition. Prior to phase 2, the only thing they care about is access to content. You really, as an agent, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but you really don't become important to them until later on in their buying or selling journey. And that's okay. We just need to understand that, and we need to understand how we can plug and play and make sure that we remain relevant and we are a person that they want to connect with when they're ready. So what is your number one goal when you get a new lead? This is a fun trivia question. I always ask this question. I always get responses like, when I get a new lead, my goal is to get an appointment, have them sign a buyer's agreement, build rapport, build trust, get a transaction. And I'll say none of those are wrong. You're all right. Whatever it is you're thinking, it's probably right. But your ultimate goal when you get a new lead has to be to stop their search. A lot of those outcomes you're looking for are not going to happen if you don't stop their search. What do I mean by stop the search? I mean, you want to eliminate as much competition as possible. If you connect with the client and you are giving them what they need and allowing them to search your content and you're nurturing them, they're likely not going to continue searching on other portals. They're likely not going to continue searching with other agents, right? I think if you think about in your own personal life, I probably know 5 real estate agents off the top of my head. And so do you, and so does your mom or your, friend. And so what are you going to do to really differentiate yourself from those other agents? Because consumers become a lead 8 to 10 times before they ever talk to an agent. And consumers typically transact with the first agent they talk to. If you can stop their search, you become that agent. So we have a lot of tools in the platform. All of that to say, we have tools in the platform that are going to help keep you connected. And we're not saying you need to spend a lot of time with these leads that are, not ready. but there are automations that you can set up, and there's communication that can be going out, keeping you connected and keeping you top of mind, so that you don't have to do a lot of the heavy lifting and putting your personal effort in to people who aren't ready yet, right? But you've got these tools that you can really take advantage of. And we have a great system where there's these daily activities you can do, and working these 4 strategies into your daily activities when you log into BoldTrail is what is going to get you consistently connected to people, so that when they get into phase 2 and they're ready to talk to somebody, that agent is going to be you. Search alerts. This is the most relevant content to your consumer. Why? Because it's pictures and details of homes. We know that this drives consumers back to your website. We know that this is super valuable to all consumers, not just people who are in the pre-transaction phase, but your clients who are in post-transaction phase. We love setting up a search alert for a client's neighborhood. So when you've sold someone their home, you go set up a search alert so that when a neighbor's house goes up for sale, they get a notification from you, because we all want to know what's going on with our neighbors' homes, right? It makes us all curious about, oh, I wonder how much they sold their house for, or I wonder what's going on in their house. And again, it just keeps you relevant. If they're really that interested and it really is pushing them into a thought of another purchase or sell, they're going to reach out to you. Monthly market reports are great. I see a lot of agents posting market information on Facebook. And while that's great, it's even better to be sending it from your platform, because it's going to drive users back to your website. And all of these things that you're sending out, all of these 4 strategies are going to get people coming back to your website. The reason we want that is because you get all of the behavioral insight. You get to see when people are interacting with the market report or search alerts or listings on your website. It shows up in your BoldTrail dashboard, so you can see what people are actually excited about and engaging with. And that gives you really clear direction on what you should focus your efforts on. Let's move over into this secret to staying involved. It's really easy. Being involved is so easy. And I think with as much tech as there is out there, and with as many strategies that are out there, it's easy to overcomplicate and feel like you need to be doing 27 things a day on your checklist. The reality is you need to do 2 things. You need to be putting content out into the world in whatever way that looks like for you, that is going to drive traffic back to your website. And on your website, you have to have content that is relevant to where these leads are in their buying and selling journey, right? So that's your secret. It's those 2 things. Have a path back to your website and have compelling content. And then the next question I get is, what is compelling content? What is relevant content? Again, these are not exhaustive lists, and I will add the caveat that there is nothing more relevant than what your leads are already engaging with, right? And so when I say that, I mean, going back to our secret to success, the more content you've got and the more you're driving people back to your website, the more insight you have into what they're engaging with. What people are engaging with, give them more of that. But I've broken down a few examples here that we know to be effective. Phase 1, really they are looking for educational and informative information about the market. Mortgage prices, our mortgage rates, home prices, pictures and details of homes. You want information that's going to appeal to a broad audience, and that could appeal to phase 2, phase 3 as well, right? If you have beginner tips and guides, like a buying guide, selling guide, update your curb appeal, things like that, those are really great kinds of content to include. Like I said, listings, pictures and details of homes. This is already done for you. already exists on your website. It's already geared toward phase one, but it can serve a broader audience. So that's fantastic. And then we've got phase two. We have specific use case kind of information. This is where you start to get more local, hyper local area information. This is where they've formed an opinion about what area they'd like to live in or what kind of house they want, what their price range is. So this is where they start to ask for information that's more specific to their use case. FAQs, answers to frequently asked questions, are great. Testimonials and reviews, this is where they go, oh, I've been working with this person, I wonder what other people think about them. And they also are a lot more likely to interact with a call to action. So if you post something on Facebook or you have a link in your email and you tell them click here or do this, they're more likely going to interact with those kind of things. And then phase three, this is really hyper local, very, very use case specific, super personalized, super tailored. So some of this really can't be done with generic kind of communication, and that's okay because we know that this is a high touch phase, right? Behavioral insights, I wanted to hit on this again because this is the kind of data that you're seeing when you log into your platform if you're driving traffic back to your website. What's great about this is, I hear a lot of agents saying, how do I get more confident? How do I deal with rejection? Because you get rejected a lot as a real estate agent. I know that you do. One of the best things you can do is use automation to nurture your contacts and really only reach out to people when they're exhibiting these high intent behaviors. That's going to reduce the amount of rejection that you get. Okay. If you're getting rejected, I think a lot of times I'm not interested or I'm just looking feels like a rejection, when the reality is they're just telling you I'm not ready yet. So put them on automation. And when they start triggering some of these high intent behaviors, then you can go, oh, hey, I noticed you were on my website 5 times. Are you starting to dive into the home search again? It just gives you opportunities to communicate with your leads at a time where they might be more receptive. This is what your dashboard looks like. This is where you're going to see activity. You have this activity stream and these tiles that tell you what your contacts are looking at on your website. You can see when they send you a text message or an email. And this little fire symbol, I don't know if you can see that, but that indicates that this lead is hot. It's done a lot of activity, and this would be a great person for you to reach out to right now. So the way we've put your dashboard together, we're really trying to take the guesswork out of what you need to be doing so you can have success growing your business. These are the keys to driving conversations. These are some other stats I wanted to share that I find super valuable. This is, like I said, we've been doing this for a long time. We've worked with a lot of agents and we have a lot of data that backs up that these actions are going to make you more successful. We know that agents who are consistently adding new leads to their platform, 40 or more per month, are doing 5 times the transactions. If you're adding 10 or less leads per month, you're not growing your business, right? We know that agents who are following up quickly, so they're getting that speed to lead, they're logging in every working day. So 20 days a month out of the year, 20 days out of the month, are doing 9 times more transactions than agents who only log in once a week or less, which makes sense, right? If you've got your contacts in your CRM and all of your insights and direction is coming from BoldTrail, and if you're not logging in, you're missing those. If you're logging in every day, you're capturing every opportunity. And then we know that agents who engage their leads with multi-touch alerts or campaigns, so this is your automation, really just multiple touch points for outreach in general. If you have 50% of your contacts receiving regular communication from you, you're doing 3 times more transactions than agents who don't have their contacts on campaigns. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit our philosophy, the tools that we have to help support you in that. And then we've got so many training resources, training and coaching. We've got Bold Academy. It's our in-house coaching program, really designed to help you get the most out of your platform and your additional services. There's a lot of coaching around business planning, mindset, accountability. We share best practices. Our coaches share best practices. And there's different kinds of content you can engage with. So if you learn differently, you can watch short form or long form videos. We have downloadable tools and worksheets. We have an interactive community with an awesome user base who are really supportive, asking very smart questions. And we have live webinars all the time that you can attend. So Bold Academy is here to support you. Before we end, I want to wrap up talking about some of our future innovations we have coming up. Really excited about some of these things. We've got this home search AI. This is one of the AI components that I'm really excited about. This has taken the way we deliver tailored content and sort of automated it so that you don't have to go and complete any physical actions. It actually looks at what your users are interacting with, and it populates these really high match properties, high match results, and then it delivers them to the consumer directly. And it looks like you're watching what they're doing and sending them a really tailored experience. It just makes you look like you've really got it together as an agent. And really, it's your system doing it for you. This is also going to take data and it's going to give you a weekly performance report. It's a snapshot of what's working for you in your database and how much interaction you're getting from your contacts. So you can see, what you need to focus on here, right? And you can see how much engagement is happening within your platform. And who is it? Brene Brown that says clarity is kindness. And this is doing just that for you. Instead of you having to go compile all of these reports, you just get a snapshot of what's performing well. And the things that are great, keep doing it. The things that are not doing so great, that gives you a goal or something that you can go figure out how you fix that, right? And then we've also got some things coming up with the mobile app that I'm really excited about as well. There's going to be some AI here called AI. It's an AI voice transcription. And basically what it does is it turns your conversations into actions. So it can take notes, it can set up listing alerts, it can set up a follow-up task for you. Have you ever been on a phone call where you didn't have a piece of paper and you thought, I'm really going to just try to remember this? I'm not a person who can do that. So if you're anything like me, this is a lifesaver. It just does all the listening for you. It acts for you so that you don't have to worry about things slipping through the cracks. We have our vitals. This is a feature that, there's different levels of reporting here, but it makes it really easy for you to see exactly what's going on with your database, who needs attention. And really, again, we're just trying to remove all the guesswork. We just want to give you as much information as possible so you can clearly see what actions you need to take and where you need to focus your effort when you're logging in daily, instead of aimlessly wandering around and throwing noodles at the wall and hoping something sticks. We have this folio integration. This is another AI. It's transaction management. It's basically like having your own personal assistant that lives in your email inbox. It can find timelines, dates, sync with your calendar, make sure that you're not missing any information here. And again, you just don't have to keep track of all of that. You don't have to go look through all of your different emails. It's going to organize everything for you and bring it all to the front so that you can just see at a glance what's happening and what needs to happen with your communications. Deals is another innovation I'm really excited about. It's like reverse engineering your business plan. This is going to tell you, there's all of these indicators at every stage of the client journey. And this is going to tell you, based on your performance with your database, how many conversations or how many leads do you need to get in order to have a conversation? How many conversations do you need to get to have an appointment, to get a client, to get under contract, and to have a transaction? And it's going to help calculate everything based on your performance. So, even better than using those equations and trying to calculate your own information based on what you think it is, or, maybe some generic baseline. This is actually based off of you and your performance. Once again, removing the guesswork so that you know exactly what you need to do, what your conversion rate is, so that you can hit your goals that you set at the beginning of the year. This is another one. It's going to give you some reporting, which I absolutely love. And again, it just really gives you, you need this many contacts, you need this many conversations, and then you're going to end up with this. It gives you a really accurate conversion calculator, and you can use that to, hit your goals or improve. And that's one thing I really love about it, is it gives you actual data and guidance that you can implement into your business. So I'm going to just wrap up with, our commitment to you is to be a reliable technology partner. We commit to providing the best service and training support that you need to scale your business. And we promise we're committed to innovating and provide the best experience and best technology to you to help you scale. So thank you so much for joining today. If you already have BoldTrail, all you need to go do is log in. I think there's just a BoldTrail button available if you're wanting to log in and check it out. But, go take advantage of the end-to-end ecosystem.